Welcome to our Watch course from Edgeonics. My name is Brett, and in this lesson we're going to look at forced touch feedback. So with the watch, when you hold down your finger on the screen, then another menu can come up, and it's just like a quick reference menu to certain items that might be available inside of your application. Now, this is also available on some of the latest iOS devices where you'll have this menu as well. For example, with messages, if you hold down your finger on the Messages app, then what it will do is bring up a little context menu that lets you interact with the Messages app. So you don't have to click and go into it and then kind of go through a workflow. It's very fast and right there to reach some of the most accessible items inside the app. It can be a little difficult to figure out how to test this in the simulator for the watch, but we're going to see how to do it in a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do is add our menu, and I'm going to go into our main home scene right here, and then I'm going to look for a menu, which is this here. So I'll just drag this out and place it right there. So now we have the menu that we need. And there's one item. So for this menu, and I'm clicking the menu here, I want two items. In the Utilities pane, I'm in the Attributes Inspector. I'm going to click for two items. We're going to do a force touch for two different things. One is going to be our stadiums. The other is going to be for upcoming events. So we're just going to do stadiums, and then we're going to do upcoming. And so in here, for stadiums, I'm going to give it not a custom image, but I'm going to choose from one of the ones here. And for that, I want to pick more. And for upcoming, I'm going to do an info. So this one here. All right, so now if we go ahead and run our simulator, I'm going to go back to the Watch app. We'll see what this looks like. Now, I don't have it wired up to anything, so we're just going to see the menu. All right, so let me bring our simulator up here where we can see it. Okay, so now in hardware, so we're in the simulator, and I've got the simulator menu at the top. I'm going to go into hardware, and you can see I have force touch, and I've got shallow press. So if I click and hold down my trackpad, I can click, and I'm holding down, there's nothing happening. Now I'm going to go back to hardware, force touch pressure, I'm going to go to deep press. Now if I click on this label and hold down, you can see I get this menu. And then I've got my icons there that I selected earlier. So I've got, and you can still see over here for upcoming, I've got info. So I've got the info icon, and then for stadiums, I've got the more icon. So I can click those and I go back into the app, so nothing's happening. You can click in an area that doesn't take an action, for example. So next, what I want to do is actually make an action happen. And what I'm going to do, instead of just doing anything, I'm going to have it so that I'll just print rather than transitioning or doing, so then you can fill in whatever you might want the particular action to be. So for this, they're going to be like a regular IB outlet. And if I go into our storyboard, I'm going to bring up the assistant editor. And then I'm going to click on our controller here and go to automatic. So we'll get into our implementation rather than the header file. All right, then down here, let's see, where would I want to do this? I guess below these notifications. So I'll just do a mark, and this is going to be for force touch. Okay, so now I'm going to click on stadiums, and then control drag. And what I want here, you can see it's just an action. It's the only thing I have there. So I'm going to do stadiums force. And then I'll create one for upcoming. I'll do another control drag. And then I'll have upcoming force. And I'm just going to do a lowercase u on here to stay consistent. Okay, so now I'm intercepting these actions, and I'm just going to print stadiums force. and I can do another print here. This is going to be upcoming force. All right, so now when I run this, my two menu items should have an action associated with them. And if I'm going to bring up, so here it is, our debugger down here. And if I click, here's our menu, I'll click Stadiums. Now you'll notice whenever I'm clicking around inside of our app, so I click Angel Stadium, I'm getting the Force Touch menu, and if I click Stadiums, same thing is happening. So our UI elements that normally take clicks are not taking them. They're kind of defaulting us out to this context menu through the Force Touch. So to change this behavior, we have to go up to Hardware, back into Force Touch, and we're going to do Deep Press to get in the Force Touch. Then we're going to switch to Shallow Press. So right now, if I went back to Shallow Press, then the items inside the UI that normally take clicks are going to take clicks as usual. So now if I go back, I can simulate the Force Touch with the Deep Press, and I can click anywhere inside that UI, and now I'm here. But in order to take one of these menus, to click it and have that menu activate, I need to flip back to a Shallow Press. So I'm no longer just clicking and holding my finger down on the real watch, for example. So if I click Stadiums, you can see our Stadiums print out down here. Now I'm going to try the other menu item, and I'll click back into a Shallow Press and do Upcoming. So now I'm getting Force Touch on all those menu items. And I can click on these items in the UI now, and their behavior is what you would expect. So we're back to that Shallow Press. So flipping between these two will simulate the Force Touch. Just remember, once you get your context menu for the Force Touch, you need to change back to the Shallow in order to accept one of those menu items.